Hello, writers! Today we are going to be talking about an annotated bibliography, which means that you might be asking the following question. What in the world is an annotated bibliography? Well, let's think about it for a second and break down this genre, this idea, this combination of words into their individual words. So first, what does it mean to annotate something? Well, according to the Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary, something that is annotated is provided with explanatory notes or comments. So, for example, you might have a fully annotated drawing or diagram, or you might have an annotated edition of a book. So, let's look at what that might mean. So here we have an example of an annotated PDF of a book. So as you can see, somebody has drawn underlines, they have written notes in the margins, and really tied together their ideas, maybe tying together what they already know and what they're thinking about, and maybe what they're confused about with this text as well. So here, the annotations are all the notes and extra comments that this user has added into the margins. So that's what it means to annotate. But what about the second word, bibliography? What is a bibliography? Well, if you've ever written a research paper, especially in a university class, you've probably included a bibliography at the end of your essay. A bibliography is the works or a list of the works referred to in a text or consulted by the author in its production. For example, the book's bibliography contains over 400 items. So here, this is when you are doing research and writing about somebody else's ideas in your research essays, you are going to include a bibliography at the end of your essay so that readers can find out where you got that information from. And a bibliography, at least in APA style, looks like this. So at least in APA and MLA style, from a distance, your bibliography or reference page is going to look exactly the same. You're going to have the names of the authors lined up very nicely on the left-hand side of the page, and then you are going to have this hanging indent. So even if I couldn't read any of the words on this page, I would be pretty sure that this is a bibliography. It is the list of sources that were used in a publication. So when we put these together, what is an annotated bibliography? So we thought about an annotation, which is the comments in the margins, and a bibliography is a list of sources. So if we put that together, we have comments on sources. Well, basically, so instead of having messy comments on the sidelines, in an annotated bibliography, you are going to have your comments directly underneath the source so that your sources and references are split apart. And in between, you are going to have your notes. Annotated bibliographies will often include a summary of these sources. So as you can see here, I've included the abstracts in from these sources, but you can also include your own comments, such as how this relates to the work that you're doing, or you can include quotes that are particularly salient. You can include whatever you want because an annotated bibliography is for you, unless your teacher is doing it, and then you might have to follow their rules. All right, but in general, an annotated bibliography is completely for the researcher. It is where you will put down all of the publications and everything that you're reading as you go along. So especially when you're doing a long research project where you might be reading tens, if not hundreds of research articles, well, it's a place that you can put them down and so that you don't have to keep just in your brain, like, which article did I read that from? What was that article about again? And then you have to read through them all over again. So I did not use annotated bibliographies in my undergraduate program or in my master's program. And once I started using them, I was like, I should have been doing this a lot longer because my projects would have been so much easier. Because I remember many times as I was writing my papers that I would suddenly remember a genius quote or a genius idea that came from something I read. And sometimes I've ended up finding that source because I just read through or skimmed most of the articles that I had saved. And sometimes I didn't find that information again. So I really wasn't able to put that idea into my paper because I didn't come up with it out of my own brain. I did get the idea from somewhere else. I just couldn't find that idea. So an annotated bibliography helps you keep all that information in one place. So as you're researching, you can go ahead and write down each source. And if you want, you can leave it as a link when you are doing it for yourself. I like to create the APA style reference just because it feels nice to me. And your teacher will probably ask you to do that too if you are turning this in. But as you go through, you will add comments and maybe add a summary to show what was important about this and how you think you're going to use it in your research. So I highly recommend using an annotated bibliography. It will make your research so much easier. All right, happy writing, happy researching. Bye.